Thank you. Welcome also from my side. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Sofia Kyriakopoulou. I'm head of Swiss Re Institute Infotech. I joined Swiss Re almost 4 years ago, originally to build up the data science department of Swiss Re Asset Management. And as of June 2020, I joined the Chief Underwriting Officer of Swiss Re to build up a unit that we call Swiss Re Institute Infotech, that is essentially the tech arm of Swiss Re Institute. And Swiss Re Institute is the place in Swiss Re where our R&D lives and actually is turned into insights and solutions and mostly applied in order to steer our underwriting, essentially the way we select risk. And I thought a few dozen projects later, today I share with you some of the lessons I've learned in this journey and also give you a glimpse of the work that we do. So a few words about Swiss Re, for those of you not familiar. So Swiss Re is one of the 2 largest reinsurance companies in the world. And few people really know what reinsurance really is. So it is insurance for insurers. And how it works is that an insurance company can cope with the risk of a single event. But sometimes a very, very large event, like a tsunami or an earthquake, can wipe out an insurer. So what reinsurers offer is a vast capacity, a very large balance sheet, but allows to perform what we call risk transfer. So the risk is transferred to the reinsurer, and we're able to diversify, place the money into the market, and then pay back in time the insurer when the event occurs. And this way we can help cover such super large losses. So the mission of Swiss Re is to make the world more resilient. And we do that by providing very quick support when an event occurs. And to give you an example, in 2020, Hurricane Ida hit Louisiana in the US, in the States. And this event caused major floods, power outages, destroyed infrastructure. The single event had claims for Swiss Re of $750 million US. And Swiss Re paid that money immediately, and this helps the area to recuperate. So to put things into perspective, just for 2020, Swiss Re paid $28 billion in claims that cover different losses. And this has touched the lives of hundreds of millions of insured individuals. And Swiss Re, more than anything, is a knowledge company. That's what we do. So we apply knowledge in a way that helps us anticipate and manage risk. And our whole success relies on our ability to have fresh perspectives and innovative ideas on how we do this. So we are one of the world's largest data-led reinsurers. So we have been using data to make the world more resilient for more than 150 years. And the beauty of insurance is that there's so much data that you can work with. So we have the policyholders, the contracts, we have the risks, the data that we generate in our underwriting processes, we have the claims, you name it. Insurance is a data business, it's a fact. And the data allows us to understand who we have insured for what, which pieces of our business are profitable, where we should focus our portfolio, and want to anticipate as losses. But what has changed over the last years is the way we use our data. So we have turned the solutions that we give to our clients to be way more forward-looking, not just describing trends and what's going on, but help them anticipate. In our own business, with our sales organizations and our operations, we use data to effectively deploy our own resources in the most effective way. And we further develop lately two areas of solutions that we in Swiss Re Institute, and my team in particular, are heavily invested in. And the first one is underwriting, which is the essence of what we do, the risk selection. And this has always been very statistical. So now what happens is that the emerging techniques, predictive modeling, etc., help us overhaul underwriting. Another area that I'm really excited about is the area of contracts. This is where we use the latest NLP and natural language processing techniques to really understand and analyze the nuisances of language, to better understand our own exposure, and further use contracts as a very, very powerful source of insights for us. Now, being in the world of data for my entire career, I thought I quickly shared with you 10 things I've learned. And I have to say, this is a field that has changed so much. It was very new when I embarked on it and became very hyped, and so much has happened. Now, my statement is that I'm very, very lucky to have grown my career in data science, which 15 years ago, when I was completing my studies, I didn't even know it existed as a term. I was an electrical engineer and computer scientist. I didn't know a single data scientist. And we were taught at the university of the AI winter. And little did we anticipate that we would experience the AI spring as soon as we would graduate. And I would argue that the first intake of data scientists, we learned this profession on the job. And if you can believe my statistic that 85% of data science projects fail, then those of us that have survived probably will have been extremely lucky. Now, data science can be an academic exercise, but for us who are in the industry, we really strive to make ourselves useful. And in the end, what we do is understand in the business where we are in, where the pains and the opportunities lie, and try to map this to the right techniques that we can use to solve problems. So establishing relevance means essentially understanding how data can make smarter decisions. And for me, when I was in asset management, this really made the difference when I understood where data is used in the investment process. Now, equivalently, for me, it's when data is used now in the underwriting process. And now, if you accept my statistic that 85% of projects fail, then each time we start a new endeavor, how can we possibly have the optimism that this one will be successful, that this time, actually, we're going to make it? And we further have to convey this optimism to our team, to top management, to our stakeholders. So I think it takes a certain amount of fearlessness so that you're able to jump on the task, to take the bet each time. And one weapon we have is through POCs, through MVPs, to just confirm that hunch we feel and just build conviction. And here's possibly a cliche, but we live it to our skin, right? This is the essence of fail fast. And for me personally, it sometimes means that I have to kill my darlings, things I believe in so strongly that I jumped on together with my teams with my full energy, and then you just have to let go. You just have to be courageous and call it and move on to the next thing. And here's how this actually looked like, right? That's a project from 2 years ago. It's a framework we applied when we were looking for signal that would allow us to basically find patterns in our asset management portfolios. And we evaluated more than 30 different techniques, and we were very strict with ourselves. In a very time-bound fashion, we applied criteria. Whatever was not working, or we had evidence that it's not working early on, we would just put on the parking lot or simply scrape and move on and move on. And after 9 months of this religious exercise, one signal came out. And this one signal made it to production. It was called dynamic time warping, ultimately allows to perform pattern recognition in the literal sense. And this made us quite proud, actually. Now, staying hands-on, probably I don't need to preach about it with this audience, but as a manager, I'm convinced that a lot of us will be obsolete in the coming years unless we manage to stay relevant. And the one way where I believe we can do that is if we stay hands-on. Otherwise, I think leadership on this field is impossible. And this already brings me to lesson 6. So already in my first team that I established, we committed to one thing. We wouldn't be reinventing the wheel. We would be extrovert, we would try to understand what's going on and be way more integrative than duplicative. And here's how we did it. In that example, we just tried to plot out our ecosystem, plot the major players that matter. In that case, it's financial services, it's different tech companies, consultants, academia, startups, figuring out who they are, and then try to be constantly aware of what is it that they do. And this exercise helps you establish your network of relevance and helps you, or helped us, do three things. First of all, we were on the top of our game. We knew exactly what was going on. Second, we use this as a tool to engage in a dialogue within the company with senior business leaders, simply letting them know what's happening. And third, this is a very powerful source of inspiration and ideation for us. Another important learning for me is that models don't speak, at least they don't speak easily, and it's so hard to convey results. And one investment I'm usually making is to create a prototype to show in a mock-up, in a very easy fashion, what is it that we try to do. And this helps so much within the company to express the power of the emerging techniques. And here's an example. A very visual POC. So the team was working on a topic modeling capability, and we made an investment of 3 or 4 days to make a very cheap Python dash. And this cheap prototype proved so successful, so powerful to help us explain the techniques. We got so much buy-in, and this technique then we applied further on in many different instances. And I think no slide that my team would have been able to produce would have been equally successful to convey any message. So probably one thing I can tell, right? We like to be winners. I personally like to win and deliver on every single sprint. But I think if anything, data science is a game of endurance. It's a marathon that we run. And I'm not sure I can call this one a victory, but it's definitely a major event for us. At the outbreak of COVID, we were able very, very quickly, already in February 2020, to apply a couple of techniques, capabilities that we were developing, so that Swiss Re very fast was able to understand its exposure on the portfolio on COVID. So what we've done, and here actually you see an example of what we published in Swiss Re's Investor Day in 2020, we're able to show per region, per sector, our exact location, our exact exposure, and understand the pockets of risk where they lie. And this allowed Swiss Re Asset Management to actually shift and steer its portfolio accordingly. And this was very, very early on COVID. Probably we know it by now. Data science is a team sport. That's how we play. As managers, we are shaping multifaceted teams as much as we can. Data scientists work very closely with data engineers. We've added ML ops into the mix. One thing that I am personally very committed to is to always having the business colleagues really embedded into now what we call squads. So we really work together. We shape the use cases together, and we validate our results together as one team. And I'd like to leave you with my own take on leadership, if anything. It goes beyond the technical skills, honestly. So it is a combination of very, very good communication, of ample common sense, of applied creativity, and ultimately of utter empathy. With that, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.